Well, good day to you. It is January the 30th, and I hope wherever you are having a wonderful day. My name is Gary Willing, and as always, I want to welcome you to Search for Signs if you're new, and if you've been here before, I want to thank you and welcome you back. Now, whether you've heard this information before or you're hearing this for the first time, it is best to know more about it. Educate yourself better about it by going to the links in the description portion of these videos that take you to websites that give you really good background information about what we talk about here. So that's why I put them in there. So whenever you want to look into it, whenever you want to know more, you know where to find it. Now, if you want to join the discussion, I used to just say post your comments, post your question in the comments section, or email me at searchforsigns@mail.com, but I have also had people share articles with me, and now I'm starting to put them up on Facebook so you can read, kind of what people are, talking about and those kind of things as it relates to this information. People have shared posts on Facebook and even reached out to me through Facebook too. So I really want to thank you guys for showing me the way and finding other ways to join the discussion. I really do appreciate it. But I want to thank, let's see, who has commented since the last time I put a video up? Susan Emery, Maitreya Thang, Thomas Otto, Raw-Z33, and Zach Laney. You guys all commented and asked questions since the last time I put a video up. Thank you so much for doing that. Now, I did get an email that was sent my way about the spiral that appeared in the night sky. I think it was like 5 or 6 days ago, if I'm not mistaken. And I put a post on Facebook about it last week. I will put this article up too because it talks about how it was seen in other countries too, which is kind of incredible. What is it? What do I make of it? Let's talk about it. Now, if you are unaware of what happened, there was this spiral that appeared in the sky. I think it was first noticed in Hawaii, but then there were other people who saw it in Japan and in New Zealand, if I'm not mistaken. And it's reminiscent of the Norwegian spiral that happened in December of 2009. Do I think it was a UFO? Yes. Do I have conclusive proof to give you that it was a UFO? No, I do not. Now, I will say this, right now the narrative on the news is it was a SpaceX launch, right? Well, let's just throw that on the table. Let's just say it was a SpaceX launch. Okay, it doesn't disprove all the other evidence that's been coming out more and more every year that's proving that we are not alone in the universe, whether it's crop circles or lights in the sky or whatever. So, I have researched this topic about UFOs enough that I know without a shadow of doubt that we're not alone in the universe. I've actually seen UFOs myself. So like I said, if it isn't an actual UFO, then okay. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, it looks a lot like the Norwegian spiral. And what the Norwegian spiral was, according to Benjamin Creme, he said it was one of the 4 spaceships that made up the quote-unquote star of Maitreya that was supposed to herald his first interview on TV, reminiscent of the Star of Bethlehem that was heralding the birth of Jesus, the same way, which historically was not a star, it was a spaceship. And I had seen it, you might have seen it and didn't notice it, but it was a huge, bright star in the sky for almost a year. It was in the night sky. And then it culminated over Norway as this spiral. You can see videos of it by just searching the Norwegian spiral on YouTube. But anyway, for a day or two, it really, kind of, there was this awestruck, narrative about what was seen on the news. And they didn't really know what to make of it. They didn't know what it was. And of course, people all started throwing their ideas into what it was. Was it a portal coming from another dimension, or was it what it is, or was it that? And the mainstream media settled in on the narrative that it was a failed Russian missile test. Now, I actually went and researched what does a failed missile test look like. And yeah, it does create this kind of exhaust spiral like that, but not controlled and measured the way that the Norwegian spiral was. It's kind of all over the place, erratic, and then it crashed and exploded in the ground. This didn't do that at all. It was up in the sky just making this very slow, methodical movement. And then there was a couple other spirals, and then this one. And now they're saying that this is a SpaceX launch, and whether it is or it isn't. If you want to comment on what you think it is, post your comment and what you think it is on this video or on the Facebook page. But anyway, I will put the article up on Facebook so you can read more about it if you're interested in this article about this. But I was just going to say this about UFOs in general. Everyone's heard of UFOs, right? I think that just seeing something like this in the sky would have scared the majority of the population who saw it on the news 40 years ago. Now it's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, of course. You know what I'm saying? But we all have our opinion. Where are they coming from? Why are they here? Maybe what they look like. What do they mean for humanity that these UFOs are coming here and all that kind of things. If you want an alternative view, check out the links in the description. I have a link to the George Adamski site and the Sharon National site. Both of them talk about UFOs as space brothers, not as aliens. Here, helping us, guiding us, keeping us protected, so we don't harm ourselves too much, especially when it comes to the environment. And both George Adamski and Benjamin Creme both claim to have met space brothers from other planets. They told them why they were here, their purpose of why they were here, and those kind of things. And George Adamski wrote several books about it. Benjamin Creme talked about it in his lectures, but he also talked about it in some of his books, but not at the length that George Adamski did. But both of these gentlemen, per their discussions with who they called space brothers, said that these UFOs are not coming from another galaxy. They're not coming from another dimension. They're coming from our own solar system. They're coming from higher planets in our solar system. And the humanity on those planets lives on the the highest levels of physicality called the etheric. It's not another plane, it's another level of physicality above gas that our scientists have not agreed is there yet. It has been proven already that there is a plane of existence called the Orgon. That was Wilhelm Reich who proved that a long time ago. But mainstream scientists have not discovered that yet. There's 4 levels of physicality above gas. But that's where George Adamski and Benjamin Creme said that these UFOs are coming from. And both of them said that they were here on a spiritual mission to help us, to keep us alive until we learn not to destroy our environment at the rate that we're doing. If it wasn't for their work and activity over the years, we would be probably almost all dead by now, according to Benjamin Creme. So quite an extraordinary task that they are doing, but will eventually be confirmed by Maitreya. After Maitreya is out known for who he is as the world teacher, he will confirm that they are here, why they are here, and that they've only been here to help. Now, the other thing I wanted to say too is, if you look into the links that I provided, there's a website called cropcircleconnector.net that talks about and has photographs of some of them, but also has the latitudes and longitudes of where newly formed crop circles are formed every year. So there's just a tremendous amount of evidence coming out about UFOs, more and more every year. I do think that the British government, if I'm not mistaken, was the first to really start to declassify what they had been holding back from the public about the UFOs. And their reasoning why to do this is they no longer deemed that information about UFO activity as a national security threat. Go figure. You know what I'm saying? Now, the United States government's starting to declassify more and more information about UFOs. Now, there's a process of declassifying documents, so Trump didn't just think it. Little jab for the Trump folks out there. But anyway, I'm just kidding. No, they've been declassifying the information more and more. And they, you can see a lot of videos coming from the Pentagon and so forth. But I did a video on it, and I just want to say this too about it, is back when Trump was president, there was a tiny little article in several news sources that kind of circled around different news sources online and so forth, that they said that there were members of the Pentagon that were briefing not only the president, but high levels of members of Congress about UFO activity. And I've always kind of said, well, if they didn't believe that there was anything to it, why would they even bother putting their reputation on the line and mention anything to Congress and the president? They know what's going on. So more and more is coming out. Like I said, if this is actually a UFO, I wouldn't be surprised if it comes out that it it's a SpaceX launch, well then, okay. You know what I'm saying? The interesting thing is I went back on Elon Musk's Twitter page and I went back for days and I didn't see anything that he posted that said that was his. So, you know, I don't know, maybe he did, I didn't, and I missed it, but that's just the other thing too, is the, he's been eerily silent about it, because with him owning Twitter, I'm sure they would have gone right to him had he said, yes, that was ours, I have evidence that it was a SpaceX launch and blah, 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 blah. But he also hasn't said it wasn't his. So he's just been kind of silent. I did put up a video when I first started putting these videos up on YouTube, and it was a family driving in a car, and they were filming this, it looked like a needle in the sky with this huge contrail and this huge halo around. It was massive in the sky. And they thought it was a UFO. Other people thought it was a UFO because they were all looking around. You could see people in other cars. I guess we can laugh about it now because it's years have passed since this happened. But one of the cars that was being filmed, that was driving right next to them, apparently was looking up at the sky too, because they crashed into the car in front of them. I guess we can laugh about it now. You know, I mean, like I said, it's been years since this happened. But if you ever see something in the sky that looks like a UFO, pull over, stop, and observe it safely. That's a public service announcement from yours truly. But anyway, they came out later and said it was a SpaceX launch. Now, I took it a couple steps further and I looked at some sites that actually had a listing of all the rocket launches from not only SpaceX, but also Blue Origin and NASA or whatever, and there wasn't any launch on that day because they actually put the day and time that they saw this thing in the sky. So, like I said, just throwing that out there for you to look and consider. Post your comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Now, if you hear a little barking in the background, it's my dog barking. But anyway, looks like she's calmed down a little bit. I'll start back up again. Now, Raw Z33, what did you ask about? What do you think about, is it Alatra and their mission to unite the world? Deception or not? Well, Raw Z33, first thing I want to say is I appreciate you respecting my opinion enough to ask me this, but I don't think it's my job to point out other, people talking about, let's say, justice or spiritual groups or spiritual leaders or whatever like that, because I'm not an authority. I'm just an average person, just an ordinary person with what I think is extraordinary information, but I don't have any inside track on the intentions of other people. You know what I mean? So that's the first thing. Second thing is, why does it have to be deception or not? There are other things in there too. People have thrown that term my way, saying I'm deceiving people. Well, deception would be, to me, would be knowing you're lying and lying anyway, right? Now, you can say something that's not true and not really have it be deception. But deception would be you honestly believe something and you're saying something totally different, right? You're lying, right? But people say stuff that they believe to be true that's not true. You know what I'm saying? Does that mean that they're deceiving people? I don't take it as that. But anyway, even if that was the case, even if they were totally grifting, and trying to get your money, you can still learn something from them. Because even a grifter will throw some truths your way every once in a while. That's how they keep you interested, right? But for me to sit here and say that I know what they're thinking or whatever, I don't know. Now, when it comes to groups like that, I will say this, and this is any group that claims to have the answer to uniting the world, I would say personally, I don't think that's true. Now, I'm not saying that they are deceiving you by it. I'm not saying they're trying to grift you out of money. I don't know. I'm just saying that, how could they? How could a group do that? Especially a tiny little group on the internet. Unite the world? I mean, maybe there's something behind it, like there's a little bit of ego behind it. If you think about it, Raw Z33, they also could be responding to the new energies of cooperation, of justice, of peace, but yet, like everybody else in the world who's starting to respond to those energies, starting to sense the need and all that kind of stuff, we still are conditioned by the energies of Pisces, which is a strong, potent personality, individuality, which brings in the selfishness, brings in a little bit of the greed, those kind of things. One biblical quote that people love to throw my way, because they think that this is Paul proving that Maitreya is the Antichrist. When he said I think it was Corinthians, I'm assuming, where he said, even Satan can disguise himself as an angel of light. What does that mean? Does that mean that Paul's looking into the future and seeing an Antichrist figure claiming to help humanity bring about peace through sharing like Maitreya, or is he talking about something different? I think he's talking about something different. I think he's talking about the intention of a person, right? He was talking to people who had no idea about psychoanalysis, because there was no such thing as psychoanalysis. He was talking to people about the mind. There wasn't even the word the mind, didn't even exist at that time. Emotions in that way. People didn't understand what emotions are as they do today. They weren't objective enough to be able to look like that. So he used the terms of the day to get a point across. Satan representing the selfish nature of the individual, and the angel of light being the highest moral good that they could think of, I guess, right? So that even if you're thinking you're doing a really good job, if you're really helping out someone, it might be a selfish reason behind it. And so you have to really check your motives. You have to really be detached by all this stuff. But when it comes to groups like this, and are they good? Are they nefarious or whatever like that? It's like anything else in the world, Raw Z33. It's like we're in a illusionary minefield to a greater or lesser extent. And we have to feel, is that real or not? And a lot of times something might seem very, very real and be a total illusion. Doesn't make you a bad person, that just makes you a person, right? The masters have navigated through that field, and now they're on the other side of the minefield, and they see nothing but reality and nothing but truth, where we're still in the illusion of it, starting with the illusion that we are separate. That's the main part of it. But you have to, I think, use Maitreya's teachings, honesty of mind, sincerity of spirit, and detachment. It's the only way to really navigate yourself through that field. But as Krishnamurti said, two things. He said, one, you're alone in the jungle. I know it sounds kind of dark and ominous, but it's true. He was talking about the illusionary minefield that I'm referring to, right? But he also said you have to be very, very diligent and objective, looking at your motives, looking at your intentions, day in and day out, and make it a practice, almost a meditation, to be able to really see if something is real or not. And that's, I think, what we have to kind of look at. But you can find good in what anybody's doing, really, if you look hard enough. I mean, it's not all bad, right? But the groups like this, I'll kind of end it like this. The groups like this that have the aspiration, let's say they have the aspiration of uniting the world, and their intention is totally pure. That's fine. Will it work, right? Will it actually accomplish that? I don't think it will. Because according to Maitreya, and I've looked at the historical evidence of the Marshall Plan to kind of relate back to what he's saying, if it's true, is sharing it alone will bring about justice. That's it. There's not anything else that will do that will bring about peace, which is uniting the world in a way, right? Giving us a future. Maitreya says, without sharing, there will be no justice. Without justice, there will be no peace. And without peace, there will be no future, you see? So it has to be countries giving the excesses that they're sitting on and hoarding to other countries that need it. Now, it's also been said that every country has some excess of resource to give back, right? But you think about it, a really poor country that's main export or main excess is, let's say, mangoes or bananas or avocados, whatever, right? How can that nation compete against a nation like the United States that has all the oil, all the gold, all the lithium? I mean, saying, and they need those things for their people. So what a nation will do is they'll basically forfeit their own future and sign on the dotted line to corporations, to the governments of the United States, Western Europe, and so forth, signing away the rights to their country and everything like this, just so they can get what they need to build a bridge sometimes, or electric plant or something like, a power plant or something like that, right? And then they have to pay an exorbitant amount of interest back, which they never can pay back. And so they're then economically taken over. That's basically what it is. And that's an unjust situation. Maitreya is going to inspire humanity to see that that's unjust and that we can't live like that anymore. And that's the danger that's jeopardizing the future for humanity. That these nations that have the majority of the resources, near I say all the resources, right, that are hoarding it, like the United States, China, Russia, Western Europe, and Australia, and some of these other very rich nations, right? They have a duty because of humanity's being one. We're not separate, right? Giving those excesses to other nations. But, an organization in and of itself, I don't think will bring about peace because it hasn't happened yet, right? Now, if you look historically with the Marshall Plan, sharing did bring about justice, bring about peace to a tiny little groups of nations. Might not be perfect, but it did do just that. So Maitreya will be the inspiration. He'll galvanize humanity for change in that way. He'll be the voice for those who have no voice, but he'll also be the voice of the people, articulating what's already within your heart, the longing for unity, the longing for oneness, in a way that really speaks for all people in a very inclusive way, not excluding anyone in that way, right? Now, Maitreya said a while ago, he said, there was a time when one true man could save the world. Then there was a time when 10,000 wasn't enough. In the coming time, he said, he will call on 1 billion people. And Benjamin Creme, before he died, he was a very curious fellow. He asked his master, has Maitreya gotten his 1 billion yet? And he said 1.5 billion. So Maitreya has 1.5 billion people who are in incarnation right now. Doesn't have to be the whole 8 billion. It's just enough to get the job done. Who are here in incarnation now, who are longing for peace, longing for justice, longing to save the environment, enough people to get the job done. So it won't just be one organization and to do it. That's just my view on it. So hopefully that helps. Alrighty. Now, lastly, I'm going to kind of touch on something. Win Thang, you sent me an email. I'm in the middle of reading it. You also had posted something as a comment in regards to what's going on in the Middle East. And I just want to say this. I don't know, you're giving me a lot of credit by asking me what the other solar systems were like. Let's just focus on what's at hand today, which is sharing, okay? In terms of the Jewish-Palestinian problem, that division, Ben's master said Maitreya is the only one that can solve that problem. He will be able to bring both parties together and be able to communicate to both of them in such a way that they will broker a peace deal in the future. But I don't think a regular average person would be able to pull that off. You know what I'm saying? And he also did predict that they will get their own homeland, the Palestinians will get their own homeland at some point. But that will be the only thing that will bring about peace at that juncture. So anyway, but the other parts, in terms of what you had quoted in terms of Alice Bailey, is your insight on it is just as good as mine. So anyway, I really appreciate you commenting about it in that way. Now, Luke Williams, I don't know if you're listening to it, and I don't know if you listen to these videos all the way through. You're inspiring me to do this. And you joined the discussion, and you said something about how you always like it when I quote Maitreya, whether it's something he said to me personally or something coming from one of Benjamin Creme's books. And there's a book with a compilation of all of these Maitreya quotes, and it's coming from Maitreya's Teachings, The Laws of Life. And I wanted to read this before I end this video. And he himself is answering, who is Maitreya, is the question. In Maitreya's view, titles like, quote, the Messiah can lead to illusion. Although some may find the qualities of Jesus in him, quote, those who look for me as a teacher are nearer the mark, for that is what I am. I seek to express that which I am through you. For this I come, unquote. The true quality of the teacher will be seen in the teaching. Quote, the master is within you. If you follow the disciplines of life, the teacher teaches you. The master reveals himself within you. Do not be attached to the human form, unquote. The living truth is a matter of experience, Maitreya adds. Quote, I cannot be monopolized. I belong to everyone, unquote. So those are some Maitreya quotes that I'll end the video with. I love you guys. You guys take care. Enjoy the day, and we'll look forward to putting up another video real soon. Take action and help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos.